We can start. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna devotees. So we have our deities of Sri Shishadripuram temple. Let's pay our obeisances to them. Shri Baldeva Prabhu Subhadra Maharani Jagannath Prabhu ki jai. Gaur Nitai ki jai. Panch Tattva ki jai. Lord Parashurama ki jai. Lord Singha Deva ki jai. Mata Lakshmi ki jai. Panch Tattva ki jai. Yes, Prabhu. Let's say our prayers to the Lordship. Om Ajnana Timirandasya. Prabhu, it's yeah. Om Ajnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gaurvani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschat Desatarane. जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंदा श्री अद्वैता गदाधरा श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंदा हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. जय श्री प्रभुपाद. जय गुरु गौरांग. So we are still in chapter 1, and the chapter is about observing the armies on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. We'll be reading two verses today. First chapter, yes, verse 39 of first chapter. Kulakshaye pranashyanti kula dharma sanatana dharme nashte kulam kritsnam adharmo abhibhavati uta. Translation: with the destruction of the dynasty, the eternal family tradition is vanquished, and thus the rest of the family becomes involved in irreligion. Prabhu, should we? Yeah, thanks. Verse, the next verse, 40. Adharmabhibhavat Krishna pradushyanti kulastriya strishu dushtasu varshneya jayate varna shankara. Translation: when irreligion is prominent in the family, O Krishna, the women of the family become polluted, and from the degradation of womanhood, O descendant of Vrishni, comes unwanted progeny. So the two shlokas here, the first one is emphasizing family tradition, which becomes vanquished and with the family, and family gets involved in irreligion. And the next one talks about what happens about if irreligion gets prominent in the family. So women becomes corrupt, degraded. So we will discuss these two together. So Srila Prabhupada has mentioned that there is earlier at the time, and this is in the battlefield of Kurukshetra, Arjuna is emphasizing. So there is a system for family to attain spiritual values, wherein members of the family have some responsibility for it. So particularly everybody has some responsibility, but here emphasis is on elderly members or men, because they were the role models to propagate that system, to propagate the spiritual values. And Arjuna is saying, so what would happen by killing? There will be nobody to take that responsibility. Elder members would be gone, men will be gone. So that is, there will be nobody to take responsibility, and which is so that is a problem here. So in which, as you can see in the present system, because nobody is taking any responsibility for such spiritual values, propagating spiritual values from the very beginning in the family. Therefore, outcome is in the society we see that everyone is irreligious. So here there are two things. One is religion, and the other one is irreligion. So Krishna says that yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati abhyuthanam adharmasya in Bhagavad Gita. So if we don't follow religious principles, then we end up enhancing what? the opposite of it, which is irreligious principle. So according to the Vedic civilization, which is the emphasis on Vedic civilization, the family tradition, this family tradition of spiritual values was very strictly observed earlier, so that the family can be kept in order in religious principles from the very beginning. It was like it was imbibed into them, into the children at a very early age. So that is, and why would you do that? Because this, the very purpose of having this human life, which is the best of all the other species, um, this human life is meant for reviving one's eternal position or sanatana position, which is eternal. So here kula dharma sanatana, sanatana dharma, the real purpose of life, especially human life, is meant for reviving our sanatana dharma, our eternal occupation. And kula dharma, by observing, that is, kula means family, dharma occupation, religion, by observing the rules and regulations of varna ashrama dharma, which is 4 varnas and 4 ashramas, that is, entire thing is kula dharma. So 4 dharmas, 4 varnas are brahmana, kshatriya, vaishya, shudra, and 4 ashramas are brahmachari, grihastha, vanaprastha, and sannyasa. So that is, one was expected, one is expected to observe these rules and regulations of his particular ashrama or kula dharma strictly. And why do you observe these rules and regulations strictly? Because by observing the rules and regulation or regulative principles of each stage of life, for example, as one transcends from one stage to another, uh, in in the ashrama, whatever ashrama one starts with, so one progresses, and by that one will be able to please the supreme personality of Godhead. That is the goal. So yeah, so whatever one's ashrama is, one follows that. So if it's a brahmana, he has to follow those rules and regulations. If kshatriya, similarly, rules and regulations of that. And this who is brahmana or who is kshatriya, this is based on one's symptom, and this is not by birth, by default. That is how it was. It's mentioned in Bhagavad Gita. That is as per the shastras. So this has to be observed. So being religious, we want deliverance. If one wants deliverance from material entanglement, one must observe these rules and regulations of particular of kula dharma, and otherwise irreligious. But if we do not observe rules and regulations of kula dharma, then everything is irreligious. Immediately everything is irreligious. So this is what Arjuna is emphasizing, that if this is said by the authorities, Arjuna is emphasizing that if adharma, irreligious life, is propagated on account of not following kula dharma, or on account of completely losing kula dharma, loss of kula dharma, then everything is lost. This is like a chain reaction, because there is nobody to improve on it or propagate that. So why should I kill that? That is what Arjuna is saying. And because the human life is meant for extinguishing the blazing fire of material existence and please the Supreme Lord. So by that we lose our kula dharma, sanatana dharma, eternal dharma. So we have to follow rules and regulation. And so the other one is talking about chastity. So in order to have peace and prosperity in society, we have to have good population, gentlemen, who are educated and who know rules and regulation. And this is what Vedic system is about, and to have good population. But not having it, the entire population becomes corrupt. For example, if you have a government which and you have some sinful bad population, and they become take power in government, then chain reaction is that the entire good government is gone, and going forward you will only have sinful bad population, because everything is polluted. And this is common, we see these ministers and in our country and other countries also. So here the emphasis is that it all begins with women, because women from the very early age were ensured that they are chaste by having their elderly fathers or elderly members of the family and or else absence of family father, you would have some other men like elder brother taking such responsibility to ensure that women are trained in such a way. It was compulsory. She would get married at a particular age, young age, and so otherwise the outcome is um, bad population, bad progeny, or what is called papayoni, defective progeny, which is less intelligent. So this was by default imbibed into them, and this was all about Vedic culture. So there are many so this is about dharma or religious principle, one which is called getting a woman married early, which is kanya daya. So father has to ensure, which means obligatory, it is compulsory that father must get women daughter married, unlike men who could continue to practice brahmachari throughout their life. They don't have to get married. So for women it was not an option, it was compulsory, and father had to ensure that. So if this is neglected, if this religious principle dharma is violated, then people will become neglectful of this tradition and religious principles, and so on. Again, it will be bad impact going forward. The progeny will be not be intelligent. So there were many rules and regulation earlier which kind of is lost. Like earlier, women were not allowed to mix with the men other than husband, without her husband. So they couldn't talk to any man, but it's not like that now. So it was very strict at that time. And men, it is said in Shastra that men was not, not allowed to be in a solitary place, even with one's daughter or sister or mother. This is as per Shastras, very strict. And but that's not the thing right now. It's not prevalent. You don't see such things. But that is how, as per the Shastras. So chastity is very important in producing good population, because if the population is not good, then the entire peace and prosperity in the population or in the system will be completely lost. So women were trained in such a way. So there was samskara, which samskara means to produce children. There were samskaras. Samskara means purificatory methods. So there were, so for example, there is one is marriage. Marriage is one samskara. One must get married, and the other one is garbhadana samskara. So as per that, before the child is given birth, there is a purificatory method which is called garbhadana samskara, and it is not like that husband and wife would mix any without any restriction and have sex not at any time. That was not the case. So there was a strict system for this to have, and the purpose for having this, the idea behind having such a purificatory system or practicing garbhadana samskara is that the child or the progeny who is born is first class from the very beginning, and he is able to take Krishna consciousness from the very beginning, because the parents are Krishna conscious, and he will be able to understand the Shastras, and because he has a good intelligent brain. And so this was the entire idea behind having such a system in place. Otherwise, the opposite of this is Varna Shankara, which is you have these children born as just like cats and dogs, no rules and no regulation, because then you don't, in a society you don't have a division or no designation, no caste, no definition, no class. For example, no Brahmana, no Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra, everybody. So that's Varna Shankara, which population is not good, and which is the trend right now, because not following the purificatory processes of Garbhadana Samskara, everybody is Shudra by default. And the Varna Shankara is actually less than Shudra. So at least one has to be Shudra, so that there can be, so one can be involved in a system of a spiritual upliftment. So there is initiation, there is Vedic Diksha. So otherwise, for Shudra also there was no Diksha, but according to Sanatana Goswami, you have one can be properly initiated into a system. So that was the entire thing. One can become Dvija, which means second birth, given second birth for practicing spiritual values. So this was the entire thing. And so everybody has a different responsibility. Brahmana has different responsibilities. So this is what Arjuna is emphasizing. When the principles are sacrificed, there is awakening of adharma, irreligion principles, and this is the result of this. Adharma avibhavat Krishna. He is telling Krishna. So when the stricture is withdrawn, family women become polluted, and as a result of that, the progeny is not intelligent. The women is polluted, so progeny is not intelligent. The whole population becomes Varna Shankara. So this is how it is, right? Yeah. I thank you all for joining the morning session. We will conclude here with this. Hare Krishna. Thank you for joining.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna,
Hare
Mataji,
Krishna,
Prabhuji.
Gita.
Hare